Day 2. I can't hear you. What's up?
What?
Come on, man. Oh, my name's Grex. All right, next. Okay.
All right, Grex. So how long have you been recovering, Grex?
A few years. Fine. All right. This is what Firetalks are. I'm not going to read it out to you. These are our awesome sponsors. Who provided some awesome prizes. Okay. These are our awesome volunteers. So we got Jack handled a lot of the sponsorship stuff. Adrian is recording this. Georgia is streaming it. Mike Smith brought us 3 awesome, fabulous judges. Nathy is, yeah. Nathy is a big help, man. By him helping out with the website that I run, it gives me time to do fun stuff like this. So, Jason, security. And Dakahuna, where is he? All right, there he is. Yeah, so he helped make sure that we had like all the AV stuff here. And then last but not least, Mike, the Perez 98. He is the timer with the famous paddles. Yep. All right, so this is our schedule for this evening. And without further ado, I present Valerie.
That's all right, we deserve it.
I'm going to make fun of girls too.
Okay, let's.
Okay? All right, we're going to make it equal opportunity. I'm going to pick on girls, I'm going to pick on guys. Just take it in good humor and we'll all be fine. Okay, now that we got the projector to work, girls rule and boys drool. How a hacktress can take your social engineering to the next level. All right, like I said, going to pick on girls, going to pick on guys. Just roll with it. All right, so a hacktress is a part female hacker, part actress, because social engineering is really acting with a different kind of skin on. Okay, so a lot of this is based on my experience in the social engineering field. I found that a lot of the traditional methods really didn't work very well for me. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. All right, a little bit about me. Been doing this for about 6 years, done some really cool stuff. I'd probably do a lot more cool stuff if I wasn't playing hockey or playing my mage. All right, so yes, for the Horde. All right, so DEF CON social engineering exercise taught us a lot about social engineering. Out of the 135 employees that were targeted, only 5 of them didn't give up any information, and all 5 of them were women. That tells us that our social engineering tactics to get information out of women are probably not the greatest. So, to combat that, we need to get one of them. So, hackers focus on female-based attacks. These are attacks that are a little bit harder for guys to pull off. We avoid triggering that fight or flight response. In other words, that little internal BS filter. Now, the BS filter in women is a little bit more attuned for guys because, face it, we've been dealing with years and years of bad pickup lines. So.
This is 6 inches.
Exactly. That's what I've been hearing for years. All right, so if we're going to hack the female operating system, we need to learn a little bit about it. Yes, I'm going to teach you the female brain in less than 15 minutes. How about that? No, there are not handouts, and it kind of exists. I guess that's up for debate. Maybe that'll be a 1-minute debate later. All right, so women are kind of like Linux. We've got multiple backgrounded processes running, okay? If I'm folding laundry, I'm going to background that. I'm going to talk on the phone. I'm going to think about what I'm making for dinner. I'm going to wonder if I picked up the dry clean. I'm thinking about when my next raid is and what I'm going to do next weekend. That too. We're also text-based, all right? Women like words. We like words that trigger emotions. Our brains are based on empathy. So in other words, you want to identify a person's certain emotion or thought and respond to it with the appropriate emotion or thought. We're also looking for constant reassurance. We're very connection-based, kind of like TCP, right? You know, honey, do you love me? Yes, dear, I do. Okay. I know you just told me, but I'm gonna ask you again. Honey, do you love me? Yes, dear. Okay. We take comfort in knowing that there are others out there just like us. This is why iVillage and Cafe Mom and things like that are so big. They build credibility in women because they have similar experiences to us. So if somebody posts on there, hey, I got a vacuum and it sucks, pun intended, and I had the same experience with that vacuum, I'm probably gonna listen to that person later on when they give their experience about something else. So, this is probably why a lot of my original social engineering tactics weren't working. Top 20 careers for women in 2009. All right, so I've highlighted some of the ones that exist in a business environment. Notice what's not on here. Careers in technology, careers in computers, careers in electronics. So this is why the whole I'm here to fix the telephone is never going to work for me, because it's just not believable. So if you're going to play the role, just like acting, we need to choose a role that's appropriate. Any of these are fine. So we've chosen our role. We're going to be a secretary. What am I going to wear? Not this. Obviously, this is not going to work. So you need a very feminine look. I need to look girly. I'm going to wear my skirt. I'm going to wear a nice little shirt. I'm going to wear really nice shoes. Guys, this is the good advice in this whole presentation. The way to women's heart is through her shoes. All right, guys that are married, the next time that you and the wife are going out on a really nice date and she's all dressed up, just tell her, hey, I like your shoes. See what happens, let me know. A big handbag. All right, all of us have them. You can hide all kinds of cameras and USB drives and all kinds of stuff to get it in the building, and you can get all kinds of stuff out of the building in that big handbag as well. The blank ID card is really important because I flip it around so it looks like I have an employee badge that just got flipped around when I was walking in the building. I've never had anybody challenge me with a blank ID card. Yeah, go figure. Okay, so if we're going to create these experiences or emotions, the best way that I can explain this is like an if loop, all right? If, then, else, all right? The else is always going to be, she's going to blow you off. So we'll focus on the if, then. So women respond very well to distress. So if I create a situation where I'm in a lot of distress, then I'm probably going to get the reaction of, they're going to try to soothe me and they're going to try to help me. A really great one for physical social engineering is I'm running late for a meeting, I'm trying to run in those expensive heels that I somehow managed to get on. I pick out my target, I run past her desk, I trip and I drop all my stuff, right? And as I'm picking it all up, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my handouts from my meeting. Can I use your computer to print them out? I have my USB drive that has a custom Trojan on it, and now she just deployed it for me. Thank you very much. This also works when you're on the phone. I once got a female help desk technician to reset a password for a user account for me that wasn't locked out in AD. And even though she said it wasn't locked out in AD, I still managed to talk her around it. I didn't have that person's employee ID number. I didn't even know where they lived. How did I do that? I cried. I cried a lot. I had a complete mental breakdown on this lady, and the only way that she could help me was to give me what I needed and reset the password, and she did. Yeah. So, moving on to the next one, uncertainty. Everybody's been the new person at work, right? This worked really well on an engagement for me. I walked up to the executive floor because, hey, if you're gonna do this, you might as well do it all the way. I walk up to the executive floor of a bank, and I'm kind of, poking around, I'm really nervous, and I go up to the executive secretary, I'm like, hi, I'm new, it's my first day, I'm kind of lost, can you help me find the ladies' room? She's like, oh, sure. And then she proceeds to take me around the executive offices and introduce me to everybody. So now I look like I belong there and everybody knows my name. It worked out fantastic. Finally, this one's more generic. I guess it may have belonged at the top. Expected input is going to equal expected output. So if I blend into the scene, it's really not going to trigger that BS meter anywhere. I did an engagement where I basically walked around with a clipboard in my little girly outfit, and I was taking inventory of printers. What I was really doing was writing down the IP addresses that they had stickers on the front of them with, and then picking up all the sensitive documents, including the plans to the data center that they left laying around, and putting them in my big bag and taking them with me. I went through 5 buildings on an entire campus. Nobody said a word to me. Expected input equals expected output, else she's gonna blow you off. All right, so I picked on gals. Let's pick on guys for a little bit. All right, the male OS is kind of like Windows. Now, I know that later versions of Windows have multiple processing capabilities. I'm not going to make a presentation on the improvement of Windows over the years because it won't be very long. So, when my husband is thinking about folding laundry, that's all he's thinking about. He's thinking about folding laundry. Love you, honey. When he's watching TV, he's thinking about watching TV. He's not doing anything else. That's what he's doing at that given time. Guys are also very GUI based. This is why females read romance novels. I did say that. I did. You can hold your sign up if you want. This is why women read romance novels and men look at Penthouse. Notice I said look, not read. Thanks, guys. We're not going there. I don't have time for that. Male brains are also credibility-based. I have to prove to you that I know what I'm talking about before you're going to listen to me. This is also kind of a side theory of mine as to why a lot of women aren't very successful in IT. Because there's just a really big personality difference there. And a lot of women believe, you should believe what I say because I've been there and I know what I'm talking about. Or men are like, well, unless you can prove to me that you know what you're talking about, you don't know anything. So I think that there's probably a pretty big disconnect there. Men are also connectionless. If I had to relate them to a protocol, I would relate them to UDP. No news is good news. If I tell you something once, you're going to assume it's still the same unless I tell you otherwise. This is pretty cool. All right, so there have been lots of studies lately that test the reactions of men when they're around attractive women. In this particular study, after the men were done speaking with the attractive woman, they couldn't even write down their address when they were asked. Yeah. Here's another one. Yeah, they probably remember their phone number, right, but nobody else's. Here's another one where it talks about how males take riskier behaviors and make more irrational decisions when they're around attractive women. Even chess players aren't immune. Now, what I found interesting about this was the guy that wrote this is actually in the marketing department. Well, the marketing folks have been using this for years to sell you guys stuff. They use it to sell you domains. They use it to sell you motorcycles. They use it to sell you really bad food. But yet you still go and you still buy it. All right, where's the signs? There we go. All right, so now we're to the audience interactive portion of this. We're going to do a little experiment, right? Squirrel. Okay, here we go. Can somebody tell me who else other than GoDaddy does web hosting? All right. He must be a legs guy. Right, what was the question? So, what's really cool about this is the whole attire that I put on to fit in with the women doesn't make me fit in with the guys, right? It makes me completely stand out. So when I walk down to the IT shop that's full of guys and I look like this is what happens to every guy in that room. There you go. So, I have a lot of options after that BSOD. I don't even really have to try to tailgate. I walk down the hallway, some guy's gonna hold the door open for me and go, "Are you going in here?" You know, this happens with prox-coded doors for me all the time. Why, yes, I am going in there, thank you. Infiltration is really easy at this point. All I have to do, because remember, I don't know anything because I haven't proven it to you. All I've got to do is just put my bimbo hat on and start talking, because you're gonna wanna try to impress me, right? So, what are those little web server things that you call them again, right? Can I see one? and it goes so on and so forth. This is also a fantastic distraction, obviously, squirrel, to allow another team member on my team to do something else, to tailgate into a different area, or if we're trying to do a noisy attack on the network, if the network guy's, trying to look down my shirt, he's not watching the IDS, so on and so forth. Ignorance is bliss. I can talk down any male help desk guy that I've ever come up against, because I will just eventually wear him down. What is it that I need to do again? The / Where's that? And I can do this for hours. Yeah, ooh.
Have I worked with you before?
Maybe you have. All right, so I'm thinking about submitting a later talk for this for DEF CON, a longer one. Try it, let me know how it works for you. There's my email, here's my Twitter, and after Dave Marcus's speech that's up next, you can tweet stalk me. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next year.
Everybody, Dave Mark.
I'm sorry, do that again. All right, I'm done. Fuck you. It's not going to get any better than that, so I'd like to thank you all for coming. All right. I know, I'm not that exciting. All right, what we're going to go through is how to use social networks basically to find, profile, and own anybody you want to. I'm going to give you a way of thinking about social networks for a particular reason. By day, if you don't know me, I'm Dave Marcus. I'm the Director of Security Research at McAfee / Intel. By night, I'm a drunken key holder of unallocated space. Learn, teach, party, drink lots of copious amounts of Jaeger, throw some Cristal into there, and you forget your name after a while. So there you go. So we'll cover a couple of things here. We're going to cover open source intelligence. If you're kind of familiar with what intelligence is, there's a difference between classified information and open source information, right? And I'm not talking open source in the way we're talking about open source coding or anything. I mean stuff people share themselves and private information, personal information, people put out there about themselves knowingly. All right, we're going to discuss the ramifications of that. We'll go through a couple of tools, and by tools I mean websites. Marco, I'm leaning. I'm leaning, Marco. We'll go through tools, and when I say tools, I mean websites. The point of doing research like this and finding information on people is using publicly available websites. I don't want to necessarily have to write a script to do anything like this. I want to be able to sit down at any computer that I'm at, go to a variety of websites, and basically be able to find out any information I want on any human being I choose to find information on. And then we're going to do the case of this guy, Dan, and the low orbital ion cannon. I like to pick on the anonymous people for a reason, because they're not that fucking anonymous. Okay? And it comes down to some simple things. They just don't realize how you can put disparate pieces of information together from different websites and wind up with everything you need to know about an individual. Cool? All right. So privacy. Yeah, right. No such thing anymore. Zero history, absolutely impossible. Everybody's lives are online now. It's just knowing where to go to get the information, right? Social networks equal overshare. And I don't just mean it's a Facebook issue. It has to do with putting dots together between a lot of different websites. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. And I'm trying to get you to think a little bit different about this. Here's the problem. Data doesn't go away. All right? So that dumbass YouTube you post about yourself drunk at a party probably is going to wind up in the hands of the guy who's interviewing you in 15 years. That type of data stays around, and it's shared by other websites. That's the problem. Who takes a lot of pictures and tweets? Who takes a lot of pictures when they tweet, right? All right, those pictures are shared by 30 or 40 other websites that query the Twitter API. And we're going to get into exactly why that's powerful for us as open source intelligence gatherers. Then lastly, can it be done with 100% success? When you see what we can gather about this poor soul, Dan, you'll understand that we can do anything we want based upon the amount of knowledge and information we have about him when we're done. And we're solely doing this through open source intelligence, meaning I'm not cracking a password, I'm not writing code to break into a website, I'm using information they themselves publicly share. So here's the definition of OSINT if you're worried. about it. And really, the type we're concerned with is bullet number 2, web-based communities, wikis, blogs, shit like that. Basically, all these different sites where people are sharing information about themselves.
What's a folksonomy?
It's a place where folks go. I love that. Greatest word in the world, folksonomy. So what do we need? We need a couple of websites that allow us to mine data, trends, and topics that our victims are currently talking about or that they were talking about. I don't want to really know about what they were talking about last week. I want to know what they're talking about now if I want to social engineer them. We're going to use PicFog because it's a great site that you're going to understand very quickly how lots of other information is tied to that little tweet, that little picture you just tweeted, like all of your personal information, like your Twitter account, like all of your tag information, like all of your GPS information. And that stuff's gold if I want to use you as a counterintelligence asset, or if I want to actually turn you and find out, you're having problems with your wife and stuff like that. We'll get to that in a minute. We're going to mine Twitter, LinkedIn, Dig, and stuff like that. And we want them for free because we're cheap bastards. And when I say free, I just mean I want to use other people's code and other people's websites so I can do it from wherever I'm at. I don't want to have to use my own code and my own laptop. I want to take a mental process and be able to use it wherever I'm at. All right. Poor Dan. Poor Dan. I have done this exact process to about 15 or 20 low orbital ion cannon users out there. And, huh?
Users or developers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The problem is this, is people think they're so friggin' clever. They think, I'm going to tweet something out and I'm going to show you how elite I am, right? So I went to PicFog and I did a search on LOIC, low orbital ion cannon. And I saw that little image in the bottom right-hand corner. And I said, ooh, that's a screenshot of somebody actually using low orbital ion cannon. That's interesting. Let me see how much information I can gather about that person in 15 minutes. That was my goal, to see how much information I can gather about that person based upon just that image in 15 minutes. Can you read the website address? Anybody know what that IP address resolves to? Amazon.com's Ireland data center. You were close. All right. So this person, Loic installed, might join in the DDoS. So he's already told me he's going to join in the DDoS and he's going to be targeting the Amazon website. All right. So I didn't want to embarrass whoever this dude is, so I scratched his first name and last name. His name is Dan, but you'll notice I kind of buffered out some of his last name and stuff like that because it's getting recorded and I don't want to get a call from him someday saying, you fucker, you're talking about me in your presentation. You ruined my life or something, right? So my first thing I did was I pulled up his Twitter profile. The highlighted area is stuff that I will use to correlate to other websites to verify that this is the person that I want. So this guy is in Brighton in the UK. All right, so he's English and he sucks. Fucking Brits, right? Fucking Brits, all right? So I'm already starting to get some basic information about this guy. What does he like? What does he dislike? I'm starting to get a feel for what he does for a living. Next, we go to Twitter itself, and we do a search. It's search.twitter.com, which allows you to search the entire corpus of Twitter information. Magic. Y'all know Twitter's archived, right? Library of Congress. That shit ain't never going away, all right? So you can search back Twitter information for as long as you want. I highlighted a couple of things that I thought were interesting. The applications that he uses to tweet with. That's telling me his applications and giving me an insight into the operating system that he uses. Also, if I were to search long enough, it would give me the conversations of everybody he's talking to so I can build out his friends list. All right, did a Google search on him. This is his Google profile. This gave me additional information. Number one, you see Brighton, UK? I'm getting confirmation that this is actually the same person because I'm seeing information confirmed across multiple websites. I now have his Dig profile, his Mix profile. I'm going to go to his LinkedIn page, and I'm going to go to his Twitter profile shortly. But I also see, what does he do for a living? He's an SEO guy at iCrossing. An SEO guy at iCrossing who's engaging in denial of service attacks against Amazon. Is that handy for social engineering and blackmail in the future? I'm pretty certain it is. Moving forward, we look at his LinkedIn profile. I highlighted out his Twitter handle because it is exactly the Twitter handle that I was looking at before, so I know I'm actually looking at the LinkedIn profile of the actual Twitter guy, right? So here I know where he went to college. Only one person has recommended Dan. Maybe his SEO work sucks, I don't know. But he has 145 connections, but I see where he works. I can see his current job history. All from that one image that I looked at on PicFog, and now I know who he works for. I know his LinkedIn profile. I can also now know his street address and his actual home telephone number. All in under 15 minutes. I own your ass. And, oh shit. Dan Gooden. The one image I didn't block out. Where's the pit? Sorry, Dan. So old Dan there, we owned him. So what did we learn about Dan? Within a couple of clicks, aside from I just showed y'all his last name, right? Oh well, fuck me, whatever. What did we learn about Dan? I learned his OS and the applications that he used. All right, if I want to send him a targeted attack, that is very helpful. I don't have to guess what to send him as a downloadable. I don't have to guess to send him a .apk. What's a .apk? That's what I would send him because he uses Android a lot based upon the things that he tweets from. So I know his OS and I know his application. Very handy to know. I know his hobbies, his likes, his dislikes, and his political opinions based upon the stuff he himself tags and tweets out to all of his little friends in his little Twitter lists. I know his employment history. I know his current address and all the places that he has lived. I know his current telephone number. I know his friends and all their contact information as well. Which begs the question, what can't we do to Dan? All right, so if I really wanted to, from this point going forward, what could we have done? I could have sent them blackmail information that says, listen, you little fucker, I know you DDoS'd Amazon.com. You're going to do free SEO work for me for the next 10 years. Or I'm going to tell your boss at iCrossing. All right? Based upon the information he himself showed to me. What? Maybe he sucks, but you know, I'll get free work out of him anyway, right? Hey, free crappy SEO work beats me paying for crappy SEO work anyway, right? Right? So, some other things to consider. Some of you have seen me present this. This won't be all that new. But some of the other ways that data are extruded. I'm going to give you probably the best use you're ever going to get for Bing, right? Dave Marcus makes Bing usable. Who here has been tweeting today? All right, if you're tagging things and you've got GPS turned on, you're probably on my map. All right? So you go to Bing and you pull up the map, and they've got a nice little Twitter map that allows you to pull up GPS-based tweets of people in a certain area, right? That's kind of handy. That's kind of cool. So you can start looking at an individual, and again, you know, you get Twitter for Android. You know, I'm getting information. I can build up a profile of what they talk about, who they talk to it about with, what their operating systems are, what their topics are. It makes social engineering a 100% certainty because I know you better than you know yourself. You can do the same thing for things like, where'd it go? Where's Quine? Where is he? Where's Zach? Is Zach in here? All right. There's a picture of him, right? All right. And this is not to say don't do this stuff. This is to say you better realize how this stuff is shared and accessible from other websites. So this is exactly how I started mining poor Dan. What was his last name? Good guys. See, and I didn't even have boobies, so y'all remembered exactly what I said before. There you go. Or I don't have nice boobies. I take that back, you know. Wow, that was an overshare, wasn't it? Okay. So, if you want to see where the real danger is, check out this site, icanstalkyou.com. And essentially, they script out what I've been talking about, is they basically look at tweets and they then append it to the geographical information of that particular person. So they're actually saying this person tweeted from this location with this GPS data, and they're actually correlating it with pictures and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you exactly want to see a real visual example of the danger of using technology like a dumbass, this is pretty much it. You know, if you want to show non-technical people the danger of doing something incorrectly, this is a real good site because you can say, hey, look, this is the location they tweeted from, and here's an actual picture that they actually tweeted based upon what they were talking about, right? You know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So again, it's not to say don't do it. Clearly it was Kramer tweeting, I guess. I don't know. But there you have it. So other things that are very easy to use is like Trends Map. which it allows you to track down trends of a particular keyword, even in a certain geographical area. So this is not GPS-based, meaning these people who are flying up there I don't have GPS data from, but it allows me to actually break out interesting things about the Shmoocon tag, and then figure out, oh, these people are saying this, these people are saying that, break out the trends, and then do with them what I want there. That is all I have for you, my friends. Any questions, or are you sick and tired of the sound of my voice? Yes, sir? I'm fine with it. I mean, again, oh, shit. The question was, how do I feel about sites like Spokeo? I'm Nick Farr. I think, again, this is stuff that's based upon the things they themselves are sharing. All Spokeo is doing is correlating it. It's taking stuff across, I think, like 12 different sites or something like that, and entering in a keyword, and then giving you all the information across those sites about that keyword. It's information people are sharing. If you're telling me where you work and you're giving me your GPS information, if you're giving me GPS information of where you get coffee every single day, where you live, and the route that you drive, it's not my fault if I know how to graph it on Bing, right? So I don't think the sites are doing anything wrong. I think it's based upon the fact that people don't realize the ramifications of what they share and how it can be correlated on the other side. So I have no problem with what they do. Any other questions? No? What? Pay your dues. All right, if you're an unallocated space member, pay your dues. Cool. Any questions? Ping me later, dogs. Thanks. And just
won't you all fire talk with me? Here's to making friends. Thanks, gentlemen. All right. So, I am Skylar Town. This is not exactly lock magic. It's kind of lock common sense, but nobody really knows much about disk detainer locks here in America. So, my concept is we need to start attacking disk detainer locks. I am Skylar Town. You can find me on Twitter as Shoebox. It's really the best way to get in touch with me, as gross as that sounds. The locks we're going to be discussing, disk detainer locks being passed through the audience right now are cutaways of some ABIS Plus locks. I recently purchased a mini mill which lives in my bedroom. If anyone else chooses to do this, don't put it right next to your desk. I got a bunch of metal shavings in my computer is the short version of that. Yeah. Okay, so how this works. Don't worry about this slide. This is the plug of the lock. The plug exists inside of the housing. The little tab cut out of the housing contains a sidebar. The sidebar is what's going to keep us from actually turning the plug inside of the lock. There are a series of discs inside the lock. The two really important ones are called zero discs. You'll find one in the back of the lock, one toward the front of the lock. This is not universally true, but it's true for the locks we're talking about. The discs prevent the sidebar from dropping down into place, as you can see. When the zero discs are fully rotated around, not only can the sidebar now drop into them, but they also collide with the tab at the base of the plug. That's what applies the turning pressure on the cylinder. When those hit the plug, they start pushing the cylinder, which pushes into the sidebar. The sidebar then can drop down into the open gates. This all gets more complex. But I made it's very similar to a safe lock, yes, except that the key manipulates each one of the discs inside of the lock instead of there being flies between the discs. I'm also going to be honest with y'all, I have no idea how long this particular talk is, but I'll just stop talking at 15 minutes. Excellent. Okay, all right, here's how it actually functions. We have our plug up here with our profile disc. We're going to stack the discs inside of the lock. In between each disc is a spacer. And the letter number designation that's coming up on the side will actually be the bitting of the key. Once we can get access to that bitting, if we can figure that out one way or another, we can actually just cut a new copy of the key. They don't do anything to encrypt what the keys are, so some of you will have a card with your key. Those numbers on it are the exact cuts. You can get those reproduced. Where the gates are around the disk determines what those numbers are that are stamped on them. This is the key for the lock, the different angles on the key. As it begins to turn, we'll lift the gates, or we'll rotate the gates in cut order, in cut depth order. So it turns part way. You can see what's happening in both sections of it. When it comes fully around, again, the gates line up. The zero disk and the profile, the only difference between the profile disk and the zero disk is the profile disk has a small bit in the middle of it to keep you from putting different profile keys in it. The whole system can turn now. You would never guess that I used to be a graphic designer from this art. And the whole system can function. Make sense? Yay, excellent. Okay, so we can attack these in myriad ways. Jaakko Fagerlund, a wonderful Finnish guy, was studying the ABIS Plus system. Is this too loud, by the way? I know I'm a pretty loud person. A little too loud? Okay, he thinks it's a little too loud. I'm gonna, how about now? You like that? He's ignoring me. Okay, so Jaakko actually, the numbers that you saw stamped in the animation are actually stamped on the discs inside of the locks. They face backward in the locks. You can't just like look in and see them. But Jaakko Fagerlund, don't worry about the background. Basically, there was a big contest that he did this study for. He found that the numbers were stamped so close to the middle portion of the disc that if he could get behind it and rotate the disc behind it, he could still have access to those numbers. So a little bit of blue tack pulled back onto that disc and removed from the lock. I know that's difficult to see, but you can, each of the numbers are distinct enough that even if you get a partial, you can figure out what the number is. You can get that number, that plain bidding code, and then you can just order another key. And you can literally order them online from suppliers of these types of locks. He got in touch with the company. It actually went brilliantly. They went back and forth a little bit. Gerhard Mechbacht, a very good guy, the head of the ABIS company, not only updated their production so that now factory pinned ABISes come with both some of these ones with numbers, because they weren't just going to throw them out, but also some blank ones. He then sent Jaakko a new mixed cylinder, didn't send him the keys, and said, nice work, here's your new challenge. Send me the code for this. Don't just pick it, but decode it again. Send that to me, and I'll send you the keys back, and you can have the lock as a trophy. The relationship between lock companies and pickers in Europe is very different than America. He opened it, and he built a tool to do it. I actually bought him a lathe to build this tool. How the tool operates. So not only can you pick the lock, but you can also decode it as you pick it. This is the tool. The striations around the barrel of it tell you which disc you're working on. There are another set of striations on the back portion of it that tell you how far you've rotated the particular disc. So you know if it's a 1 cut, 2 cut, 3 cut, 4 cut, 5 cut, 6 cut. This piece that I'm working with close up to the barrel of the lock is just applying tension to the first zero disc. That's how we apply tension in these locks. The other portion moves through, and that's how we operate each of the discs inside. It's a tension and pick situation, just like a normal pin tumbler lock, only we have to have it in a single tool. So as I'm going through setting these, in the video I'm reading off the actual bidding depths because I'm able to look at the device and it tells me exactly what they are. There's that guy, and there's one past the cutaway that I'm going to set here. When you're picking these, you can feel them binding on the sidebar. You can feel them scraping on the sidebar. It's an incredibly different feeling than picking a normal pin tumbler lock. I'm still very far away from being good at it, but I've managed to pop a couple of non-cutaway locks. Here's a super close-up version, but we will get back to the talk. Excellent. This is far from the only... so even though you can do that, this is still a pretty okay lock. The ABIS Plus lock is not a bad lock whatsoever. The one big thing I would like to see is for them to actually obfuscate the bidding to some degree. There are a lot of high security manufacturers that will take that straight bidding and cipher it by some means, and then that card you then have to bring to a locksmith to cut for you. You can't just go online and order yourself another key like I did. So here are the ABIS keys. Again, the ABIS locks that are being passed around, you can attack them, you can open them, but they're good. They have false gates on their discs, they're well made, they have a decent number of wheels and a decent number of possible gate positions on each wheel. What we're seeing flooding into America are keys that are more like this. The reason that we need to start attacking the disc locks presently is because in the last 5 to 10 years, and particularly in the last 3 to 5 years, they have taken over the bike and motorcycle lock market. And the first thing that people like to figure out how to steal are bikes and motorcycles. Many more people are stealing bikes than are breaking into homes. So, these. Yeah, yeah. So these are disc detainer locks nowadays. I went to a bike shop up the block from here. I can't remember the name of it. Super nice people, and we actually talked about the research a little bit. But every single lock they had, every single variety of lock they had a disc detainer cylinder. Disc detainers have been around for around 100 years, maybe a little bit longer. They became popular in Finland. There are a couple of patents that seem to predate them in Germany and America, blah, blah, blah. None of that matters. The important thing is that what we're getting in our bike locks is 100-year-old technology. There's some amazing disc detainer locks out there, and we'll... Sorry, I just noticed some paddles. There's some amazing disc detainer locks out there. We'll get to those on the last slide. So, that was, the key that I just showed has 5 unique cuts on it. I've seen them with 4 unique cuts on it. Keep that in mind. It's important to this next part. The tolerances of these bike locks, motorcycle locks, etc., the tolerances of these cheap disc detainer locks that we're getting in America right now are such that if I use a 3.5 cut on a key, it will rotate the number 4 to here. The sidebar is skinny enough and the gate is wide enough that it'll rotate the 3 disc to here. And then when you apply that pressure with the 0 disc, when you fully rotate, while the sidebar will collide with them, it's rounded and it will push them right out of the way and open them up. What that means is that we can attack these with half cuts, which dramatically reduces the total key space of the locks. So with 6 cuts and 5 discs, our key space is 6 to the 5th. It's okay. 3 cuts and 5, thank you very much, it's 3 to the 5th. And those that only have 4 discs, 3 to the 4th. To be very, very specific, 6 to the 5th, 7,776 possible keys. That really isn't very good, but it's not awful, especially when you compare it to 3 to the 5th, which is 243 keys, and those unfortunate enough to only have 4 active discs inside of the lock, 81 possible keys in the total attackable key space. You can make more keys than that, but we can attack with 81 keys and open this. Now that seems obnoxious, except that the nature of these means that you can brute force them. You can build a tool, and this is the next step, and will be a longer talk at some point, where you will literally dial your way through those 81 combinations. Stick it in the lock, dial quickly, and it'll rotate those to the appropriate positions. Brute forcing 81 possible combinations is simple, dead simple. We need to start focusing on these locks. So, there really are legitimately good disc detainer locks out there. Abloy, it's what they do. Abloy is a Finnish company. They're the ones that perfected this, made it popular, etc. They have a lock called the Abloy ProTech, which has been on the market for well over a decade now. I am yet to see a valid attack against it. There's some sketchy YouTube video of some guy making a self-impressioning attack. He's never shown up anywhere. We've never confirmed it. They make beautiful locks. Tool.nl, articles by Han Fei, worth checking out. He does every generation of the Abloy in these like 30, 40 page papers. They're beautiful. The Dom Diamant, really cool disc detainer lock. They're a German company. I'm wearing a Dom belt buckle for anybody that wants to, boom, there you go. The Miwa PR cylinder, it's kind of a hybrid. It is still a disc detainer cylinder, but it uses pivoting discs instead of fully rotating discs. And really, even the Abus Plus ain't that bad. They could do better, they could go further, et cetera, et cetera. Importantly, because I always forget to follow this up at the end, at Shoebox. I'm really easy to find. That's 15 minutes on disc detainers. I could do 15 hours on disc detainers. It's the current seat of my work. Does anybody have any other questions? Excellent. Did that make, yes?
Yeah, are blueprints available for that, like the machine blueprints for that disc lock breaker that you showed earlier?
Yeah, what Yako did? Yeah, thank you. He was asking if plans are available to make the tool that Jaco Fagerlund invented, the decoder and pick. He's gone to great lengths to detail how he made that. I believe you can find them at lockpicking101.com. He also has a website that I think is Finnish language, which might be a little harder. But yeah, he's very open about the work that he does. Yes. Yep. Excellent. All right, that all made sense. That was good? Sweet. Thank you. There were a few more. Yeah, if you find locks later, get them to me. Don't worry about it. I mean, do get them to me. Oh, yeah. For anybody in the back of the Kickstarter project and wants to know where the hell their picks are? Okay. Somebody took over the production for me because I'm an idiot about producing things at that scale. I will have a cut date for all of you very shortly. They're going to the laser cutter soon.
Do I have to wear that if I walk around? I got a booming voice. I have a booming voice. Whoops. Roger that. Just give me half a second.